With two of the longest losing streaks under his belt, a disaster of a roster construction from an O-line perspective, we now have to start asking the question, and we have already started this conversation. Is it now time to consider life without Ryan Poles? Let's talk about it. Listen, if you're new to the channel, it's your boy P Kid. This is the Winning City Breeze. Talking all things Chicago sports. I need you to do me a favor, give me a like, share, subscribe, leave the 5-star review. Y'all know what to do so we can continue to give you this hot content. Let's get into the video, man. Like, I have to say this. I've praised Ryan Poles when he's hit. When he hit on certain picks, I still think Caleb Williams is a hit. I think he made solid transactions. And that could be two. Two things could be very true with Ryan Poles. He was a heck of a negotiator. He does a really good job at finding the deals. He made some good picks. But he could absolutely be horrible at complete roster construction. He could be horrible at evaluating head coaching talent. And he's absolutely horrible at scouting. Well, that goes on the roster construction, but I'm going to emphasize it again. The position he played. All of those things could be true. He could be absolutely just a baller in one. He could be the Michael Jordan of contract negotiation. In fact, the trade that ended up landing us Caleb Williams and a bunch of other stuff, and we're still going to eat on into the draft. So, like, realistically, heck of a fleece these guys. But he also got some fleeced. He also got fleeced on a couple of things. If the reports are the Indiana Colts were going to fire Matt Eberflus were true, then yeah, I mean, and both things could be true. But when you're the GM and you have these things that kind of cancel each other out, meaning your positives and your negatives kind of cancel each other out, we're then left to see the end result of the team that you built. It's like, hey, he's really good at he did all these great things. We loved it, called him King Poles. He did all these egregious things. Almost got Caleb killed. Caleb's going to have a record amount of sacks. In fact, he's already been sacked more than Justin Fields was sacked as a Chicago Bear. And that's saying a lot, seeing that I've seen Justin Fields almost die in his first game. Yeah. What are the results now? Well, you have two of the longest losing streaks in Chicago Bears history. You fired, I mean, there has to be a record. Like, we're not even like dog water. We're the level of pitifulness that we have as far as evaluating like who's taking over what is just egregious. It's not looking good. And the record is trash. The record is trash. You had two jobs as a GM. And this is where I am. This is why I think Ryan Poles, his tenure here may not be. I think this could be it. I think, honestly, if the noise gets loud enough by the end of the season, like depending on the next results of these next couple of games, the noise is going to get loud enough for just like when Eberflus was walked out that door, Ryan Poles is going to get walked out that door. And I'm not saying that he absolutely, what I'm not saying is that he don't deserve it. He has done enough to warrant some consideration for replacement. I'm not going to sit here and cap and say he hasn't, because you've had a lot of options here and you chose not to. Now, if we're going to sit here and say, well, he didn't have those choices, cap. I'm not going to sit there and say that. Cap. He chose that OC with Eberflus and he stuck with Eberflus. He did it. He did that. So, hey, argue with your mom on that one. Like, the man said he did it, he did it. I can't say anything else about it. The man said he did it. Cool. Y'all want to say his job told him to lie? Sure. Fine. He gonna get fired just like his buddy got fired. I don't care what nobody say. Like, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, you have two jobs. You have the job when you draft the number 1 overall pick, who's a quarterback. You have the option. You have to build the team around him. So that means you have to insulate this young man so he can have success. You did not do that. You chose people on the outside. You chose, as I think Warren Sapp called them, ballerina dancers. You chose the receivers and everything else, but you did not choose the big uglies in the front, which means you're going to have a hard time getting that ball to the ballerinas. Interesting, right? Well, we all saw how that's playing out. Caleb Williams is still going to be a good quarterback. Through all the struggles, he's still going to etch out some of the most some it's gonna be tight, but he's still keeping on pace to some degree with what Jaden Daniels has been putting out there from a passing yard, passing TD perspective. Now the run game and the way it looks and all that stuff's a little different, but that's a well-oiled machine over there. They made the right move to insulate and protect their young quarterback. The Bears did not. And I can still see moments in which Caleb is on par, if not better. And I can still see the room and the potential in the ceiling being just as high. For those who think I'm capping, I was a Jaden Daniels fan. I wanted Jaden Daniels or Michael Penix. Caleb was my second or third option, kind of depending on where you went. I think Michael, and I don't have to explain that to you all, but like realistically, I looked at it. I saw Michael Penix be a dog in college. I saw him beat all the teams that Caleb struggled against. I believe that, if I'm saying that right, or maybe it was Jaden. Either way, I saw him on par with that. I saw Jaden do the same thing. Hey, I didn't think you could go wrong with any of these QBs. Hear me out. You could not have gone wrong with any young QB that was considered top 5 in that particular draft. They all have potential to be really good. Some of them have the potential to be great. Some of them have the potential to be generational. But you couldn't go wrong unless you just totally botched it. And that's what we did here. And as that relates to Ryan Poles, you didn't get the big uglies up front. And so now your quarterback is, you've borderline broken this kid. You've also we fired everything around him. And the one person to actually get him to start playing ball again, you moved up and promoted him into head coach so fast because you needed one that now the offense has reversed. I don't care what anybody says. Thomas Brown in the booth looks way better than Thomas Brown on the sideline. The play calling looks better. Play calling looks different. I know there were some injuries there, but guess what? The play calling looks different. Has Caleb made some mistakes? Yes. But the one guy to have actually worked with your quarterback to get him to actually start playing ball again, like you saw in those first couple of weeks, you pretty much made the job more complex for him, which then makes the job harder for the QB because guess what? Thomas Brown now has to not just focus on being the offensive coordinator. He has to run the whole team. That's a hard job for those who don't think it is. It's not like Madden. It's not like Madden. That's not how real life works, my boy. It don't happen that way. But some of you all think it is. No, that was a bad move. Thomas Brown needs to be in the booth. He's an offensive coordinator at best right now. That's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But in every step of the way, when you had something to kind of fix the problem, you didn't fix the problem. And that, my boy, is how you end up getting fired. I just heard, and I got this from Auto Receive. I'm going to give him credit because I didn't realize it. I forgot. Kevin O'Connell was available the same time Matt Eberflus was on. I'm like, hold on, wait, really? Do you know that the Vikings have a 32-16 record over the last 48 games? We have a 14-32, 14-33, or the 14-34. Either way, it's a lot of losses. Out of 48 games, we stink. In fact, most of the decisions that we passed up on found success where they went, where they are. Everybody but us. Moves like that, decisions like that, things like that put you in the hot seat. And now I have to look at why you're here. The people that you drafted developmental players in the third round he didn't really start. Now all of a sudden, boom, he's here. Hey, yeah, I'm talking about Karan Amagaji. He's sitting there trying to be GQ smooth in the interview. Oh, he's not gonna get touched behind me. My boy, you sure about that? Because that's what happened. And guess what? You're not here if Ryan Poles don't pick you. And Ryan Poles reached for him, didn't do a good job, and now here we are again. It's not good. It's not good. I'm ranting a little bit. And again, this is a topic we've touched on, the guys have touched on, but I being back from vacation, stuff like that, and really just jumping right back into this. This was hot, and I was like, yo, I like Ryan, dog. I really do. I like what he put out there. I like the fact that the Bears made a move to get the GM. We start to do things the right way. I just hate the fact, like if I'm George, I hate the fact that the first time I decide to build this out like a real organization, it fails so egregiously that now I'm still being considered one of the worst organizations in football. That is crazy if you're an owner. That's crazy if you're sitting back like, man, I'm trying to get the right people in here. I'm trying to do the right things, and it's not working out. What's going on? Like it really is. Now maybe George still has too much input, too much to say, and too much chip on his lip when it comes to how things are ran. He's not really a football guy, but it's kind of hard to say he's not a football guy. He's been around it his whole life. Kind of hard to say that. Back to Ryan Poles, though. Ryan Poles has done enough to get fired. To be honest with you. And it would make sense because we would then finally be in step with what the norm is. Typically, when you have a new GM, you have a coach that fits a new coach, you have a GM that fits that timeline. We have never done that. It's always been this GM hires this coach, that coach outlasts that GM then comes in and gets his own coach, and then back and forth. At a certain point, and then we're at that point where things are so bad, you have to erase the slate. You have to clean the slate. You have nothing to lose now if you fire him either. In fact, you're in the best position to fire him now because you have the cap space. You have this young quarterback that people think is going to be really good, me being one of them. You have some of the right pieces in place that kind of lock down it long term. You have a star receiver. You drafted another star receiver or potential number one receiver. You got a veteran in Keenan Allen that no one expects to still be here. And if I'm Keenan Allen, I wouldn't want to be here. So you get your compensatory pick from that one. I think that's a fourth. So you got all your picks. You got this extra money. I think you got like 80 something in cap space. You have a lot of positives here to sit there and say, hey, you know what? Thank you for playing the work version of our game, Ryan. It's been real. See ya. And now you get to sit there and run the gamut with a new head coach and a new GM. Now, most people are going to sit there and say, but who is that going to be? Guess what? Don't know. Can't tell you that. But what I will say is by making that particular move, you start to right the ship because what is not working is what's happening now and the way that it's been going for the last several decades, apparently. You can't sit here and say, well, we don't know who that's going to be. No, duh. That's why the interview process is there. That's why you have to vet these individuals. That's why you have to keep trying until you get that right. You don't know it. I don't know it. They don't know it. But at the end of the day, until you find out, you got to keep going through it, unfortunately. And going through it means you do it going through it means doing it the right way. Doing it the right way ain't hiring a GM and then getting a coach, doing it the way we've been doing. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. You can't do it that way. You can't continue to do it that way. So at that point, hey, do it. Do it. Nothing. You lose nothing. You lose nothing. You lose nothing. And there may be, and I think there are people who would be good GM candidates, who would be good at this. And hey, that may be what needs to happen. Because if you don't have good evaluators of talent from a head coaching position, the person can't find the OC. The person can't even find the right people to draft to protect your young quarterback. Why is he here? Why is he here? All the things that you really should have done, you didn't do. You did all the pretty stuff, but not the necessary stuff. And this is, oh man, I hate making videos like this. Because this is such a stark contrast from what we were saying earlier this year. Because we had such hope. Because we were bought into the Ryan Poles success. We were bought into, you know what? I question this, but that guy has made some good moves. Let's see how it works out, Cotton. Didn't work out, Cotton. Did not work out. So with all that being said, he's earned himself this opportunity. He's earned himself the opportunity to hold this L and to be potentially unemployed because you've missed. You've missed wildly. You've missed wildly. And that's crazy. Listen, those are my thoughts. I want to hear yours. Whether it's level, let's say put it in chat. I will be in there with you. Till next time. Peace.